morning, everybody. Welcome back to my tiny retirement. Sorry for the shakiness. I have to hold it with hold the camera with my hand. So a couple things today. A couple things going on today in this video. First of all, Mitch is doing some work on the other half of the house because we've just sort of left that as summer rolled along. And oh, I apologize. I have to hold the camera. My tripod is buried behind the mattress in the bedroom because Mitch is working on it. So, sorry. So he's working on the bedroom. The other thing is that while I'm down on crutches and can't really do anything, one of the things I've been doing is going through and cleaning out our videos and organizing. And I found one that I had filmed, I don't know, a little while ago, but it's still relevant. It's very important information for tiny house people that are looking for a place to go tiny. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that up here. It's not a new video, but it still does have very important information, and I think it's an important one to put up. So enjoy. I'm going to go supervise Mitch while he's working on the bedroom. He's doing a good job. I said you're doing a good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Enjoy. Gerard, are you bored? Are you bored? Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my tiny retirement. I'm Christine, and today I'm going to be talking to you about something really exciting that has recently happened in the state of Maine. I wasn't sure of all of the details of it, so it took me a little bit. I've got my laptop here with all of my notes on it, so if I keep looking away from you, forgive me. And don't look at me. I'm sitting outside and it's muggy and it looks like it's going to rain any second. That's okay. Maine has officially become tiny house friendly. Maine is allowing tiny homes and recognizing them as dwellings. It's been quite a process, but it finally came to completion. So let me tell you, it started in, oh my gosh, this has been going on since like 2015, 2016. You've heard about all the controversy with tiny homes. In my opinion, I don't think it was really that nobody wanted tiny homes. They didn't know what to do with them. Towns didn't know what to do with them. Builders didn't know what to do with them. Insurance companies didn't know what to do with them because let's remember that tiny homes on wheels were considered RVs. And permanent tiny homes like ours, what do you do with them? You know, there were no codes, there were no standards, there was no legal definition. Well, and why that's important is that without being able to define it legally, you can't get a certificate of occupancy. And without that, you know, there's no house. You can't live in it. So when tiny homes were considered RVs or camps or, you know, whatever, you couldn't get a certificate of occupancy. Well, that changed in December of 2016, when the International Code Committee in December of 2016 recognized the tiny house movement and recognized tiny homes as dwellings and gave them a definition. You can go look that up. It defined exactly what a tiny house is, and that set the ball rolling, at least for the state of Maine. at least for the state of Maine. Our Congress stepped up. So this was December 2016. The following March of 2017, Maine State Congress got together and passed an act, a law, a bill, whatever you call them. I don't know what it is. And it was called, you hold on. It was called an act to adopt tiny house standards in the Maine Uniform Buildings and Energy Code. What does that mean? It means, oops, sorry, I just kicked you. It means that the state of Maine, now that the tiny homes had been recognized by the big guys, that, international code, Maine set to work on coming up with building codes, safety standards, just building standards for tiny homes. And they did this because regular conventional home standards, building standards, insurance, lending, all of that stuff, were not going to work for a tiny house. A tiny house is different, and it now has its own definition. So it had its own definition. And so the state of Maine tasked who did they task? They tasked the Maine Technical Building Codes and Standards Board to create a set of standards and rules for tiny homes. They have to be a certain height so people aren't smashing their heads and knocking themselves silly, concussions, killing themselves, breaking their necks. They have to be able to get up to the loft by, whatever it is, windows, egress, plumbing, electric, all of that stuff. They needed to come up with some standards. They had until January of 2018. So here we are in March 2017. So come January, they had their standards. And once all of that was in place, our Congress got together and came up with a bill that, let me see, what was it called? This one. It was different. An act to allow people to live in tiny homes as a primary or accessory dwelling. This was in May. This was in May of this year. Okay, 2021. It sat there and it went through committee after committee after committee. And then, guess what? We had a pandemic for over a year. Congress shut down. They weren't doing anything. Nothing. Well, when they came back, this was one of the things. Housing, especially in the lower part of the state of Maine, is outrageous. It's unbelievable. People need affordable homes. So Congress passed it, sent it on to the governor for her signature. She signed it. She signed it. And Maine is among those few states that officially allow tiny homes. And what's really funny to me, you know how all of these towns have their own building codes, their own zoning, their own, what they will allow? Listen to the wording. Listen to the wording in this bill. A municipality shall, not can, if they want to, not may or may not, they don't have to, it's shall. They will permit a tiny home to be placed or erected on an individual house lot. Any house lot where single-family dwellings are allowed, or as an accessory structure in your backyard. You can put a tiny house in your backyard now if you want to. Subject to all applicable land use requirements as single-family dwellings or as an accessory structure. So that just means that if you're like in a shoreline zoning place, that even if you have a tiny house, you're not special, you still have to follow the rules. That's what that means. So I would be remiss as a tiny home dweller and owner if I did not stop and acknowledge this really fantastic and exciting development. So, for anybody out there wanting to go tiny, might want to take a look at Maine.
All right. Today, finally getting around to finishing the insulation and start the, call it the bubble foil, but the reflects it. Oh, good Lord. Up and down the ladder, I'm getting too old. Anyways, this is the insulation we use throughout the cottage. Rock wool. It's made by Rock Soul, which is what the original name was, but everybody kept saying rock wool anyway, so they just changed it. This stuff works really well. Sound-wise, it just works like a champ too. So not only is it energy, but the density of it being spun mineral, or a rock wool, helps with being fire retardant and all kinds of other things. But the sound is what I really like, besides the insulation factor.
All right, so today, you were just telling them about this insulation that you're putting in, right?
Yeah, really great stuff.
So today you are working on the bedroom.
Yeah.
It has become quite apparent that with a cat who loves to claw,
Well,
it is time to start closing in the bedroom.
well, we just never had time between clearing out stuff, knocking the woods out to make a garden.
Yeah, well, this summer was more work out in the yard.
Right, yeah, prices went up on everything.
Prices went up, but
Now,
he's got some bubble foil he's going to put up here.
and I
He's-
did tell them to link to in the description to your describing the bubble foil.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Which you'll see we'll go over here. Don't worry about this wood because the bubble foil stops the thermal bridging, as you'll see in the other video. All right.
And then we've got a beautiful, almost vintage and yet modern ceiling fan and light that's going to go up there.
Yeah.
Maybe today, probably not.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, you notice I did from where the bed ends in so that it'd be easier. Okay.
Sorry for the shakiness. I'm filming on crutches.
Yeah. Yeah. And in a tiny house, see how you have to move things around. So
Yeah.
if you say, I'll shift to one side or the other, but, do you have the room to, move everything out now?
And as you can see,
And it's not very sporting.
we do have a good amount of storage underneath the bed that we've just left. There's my suitcase that I live out of. Because the bedroom's not done.
Yeah.
So all of my girly stuff is in the white cabinet and in my suitcase right there.
And with all the sleeping bags that we had underneath there and hiding, have been sprawled out and have become Frank's lair.
Yeah, this is what we call Frankie's lair. He has a whole little compound under the bed that he sort of squirrels around, and we'll probably leave that.
Oh. And this stuff being made of spun mineral is very stiff, and it's about I'd say like a half, 3/4 inch wider than what the inside is. And you put it up and it stays up. You don't need all the little metal stick things.
Yeah,
Nothing.
it's designed to just sort of squish up in there.
Yeah, you just kind of wedge her up in there and call it a day.
And it stays.
There you go. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're having a bit of an issue with the new ceiling fan. Mitch is trying to put it together.
Here's the instructions.
Well, there are the instructions that don't make any sense at all. I'm in so much trouble. Look at that. Somehow we've got all of those little crystal things go hanging around 3 of these little tiers. We'll see if we get to the finished product.